Shalom, when the staff souls by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahshua, Ba'ashem, Kal Kadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the real name of whom the world English calls God, Jehovah, Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. His son's true name is Yahushai, and when we pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, meaning in, meaning the, and Shem, meaning names Yahweh, and the name of Yahushai. Right, this is on some news that was coming out of Australia, and when I was basically looking for the article again, I came across these three articles. Right, so this was the first one that was really going on. I saw it on the live Guardian feed yesterday, and then this was another one that I came across. Okay, so this is on, the incident that happened the other day, right? So I'm going to read the headlines, and you can really tell which direction we're going in. This is this first one says social media companies allow that to flow unchecked, right? Australia's race commissioner says, and what I'm always finding funny, right? Same here in the UK, right? Is the individuals that be passing some of these and speaking about some of these. These certain laws, anti-immigration laws, whatever have you, right, will be, these Elam looking individuals, man. Okay, there's something over here. We've got the Conservative Party, and which they had a few of them, and I believe the lady that has just now passed, some of the new anti-immigration things, she was also Elam as well. So it's really interesting. It's always individuals like that. Okay, but yeah, you see, flow unchecked, right? And then. And they always use this because this is it, man. He knows that he has been, he has been, he's being searched out, right? Right. This is, where is it? Right, Obadiah 1 and 6, right? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Right, and more people are now starting to speak about and bring up all of the different things that he is doing, has done, right, and is planning on doing. Okay, so more and more, they're finding themselves, put into a corner, right, and as such, right, you're going to end up in a position where these E's are going to start doing more and more wickedness. Okay. And you know what? We're all here for it. Okay, carry on, doing your thing, because we understand that all of these things are necessary. Okay, this path that we're about to walk into, right? It's a necessary path, but if we don't walk it, right, how will we then get into the kingdom, right? No, it's not 6, it's 7. Slack. Right, 2 Ezra 7 from 6, it says, there is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water. Right, so this thing of ours is full of issues. It's full of problems. Okay, whether on the whether it be our physical selves, right? What does the scripture say? In this body dwelleth no good things, right? That's what Paul said, right? Whether it's ourselves, whether it's the conditions that we're in, but also the conditions that we're about to face, right? In these last days, right? He is getting ready to make an accusation, right? This is Revelation 12 and 10, right? It says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our power, and the power of his anointed, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. Right, so he's always accusing us, man, right? He's always accusing us. He's always just basically going into this and the other, right? Categoros, right, from G2596 and G58 against one in the assembly, i.e. a complaint at law, especially Satan accuser, right? So that's it, right? So he is of that view that he is he's very much against us. Okay, He's very much against us. He's always, speaking up against us, right? He's accusing us, right? And he's our adversary, right? So it's it's no wonder that he's going to start, coming down. But this is certainly the time that we're in. We're certainly heading into that direction, right? And then here you got what changes are planned to Australia's laws, right? And how will they work? Okay. Which are what I will do instead, because I passed this through to the robot to basically see whether it had, because basically it's very vague, this article about what exactly could be changed, what might be changed, whatever, what have you, right? Because it's still very much a conversation piece, right? So I'll leave that for a second, and then you see here, right, peak body calls Labour's plan to combat that an essential first step, but some warn it risks division. And one of the things I've always said, people say is, why is it's racism for everyone else, but then for them they've got a certain particular word, okay? Now we understand why, right? Because they're trying to hide who it is that they are, but it's being brought out on them, right? It's being brought out who these individuals are, right? The fact that they they do run the world, the fact that they do are basically the cause of all of this shit that goes on in the world. Okay, so this is what I passed through to the robot, right? For this particular article, right? It says, I was reading this article, right? It says it appears very vague and therefore open to abuse. Think critically about what could fall under these new proposed laws, right? So it says you're reacting to the same thing the article flags. The government has announced a direction, right? But not the drafting, right? So which is the definition, thresholds, defenses, and oversight, right? That gap is where vague laws can sprawl. This is below is a critical, not legal advice. Look at what could get swept in, depending on how they how terms like hate, division, preaching leaders, promote violence, serious vilification, advocating racial supremacy end up being defined. Right, it says the big surface area of the proposed right, promote violence can be read narrowly or very broadly, and this is it, right? When you read a contract that ESOL gives you, it'll be like, just some of the longest pieces of paper you will ever see. But then when you read certain other laws, like the T law, or once again, this is just a what's the word I'm looking for? This is just what they said, a direction, right? It's not yet the laws or anything like that, right? But you can see how, when you're reading this, just how broad that these guys can make it, right? And right now people will be cheering for it, because that's how he always does. He'll make something that you will cheer for, and then at the end of it he'll be like, oh wait, actually you now also fall into this, right? It says the plan talks about a new aggravated offense for preachers, leaders who promote violence, plus higher penalties for speech promoting violence, right? What might end up captured if drafting is loose, right? Which really it should be when drafting is loose, right? Metaphorical, idiomatic calls to fight, crush, wipe out, destroy, and political speech, chants, rap lyrics, protest signage, right? And I said, it's been spoken about before, about how he will use these, has basically been using the music and the different media, right, to basically, set a trap, right? Because once again, this is just talking about this, but it's going to very easily be pushed to, for a full accusation against Jake, okay, right? And this one was, was another sloppy, presentation, if you will, right? Another sloppy flag, right? But he knows that he's got to do more. In fact, because we're in Revelation 12, right? We'll jump down to verse 12. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Okay, so that's it. There is a a short. He knows he's got a short time. Right, so he's going to keep, pushing more, badly executed, right, shows for the people, right, and we frame it like that, right? He's going to continue to push, stuff like that, right, to move along with his agenda, okay, because he knows that his time is short, right? So it goes on to say, it says, celebratory rhetoric against historic violence, right? They deserved more of this, even if not a direct instruction, right? Conditional violence, and quotes, says if X happens, they should be attacked. Which I found this one funny because that's Trump, and not a real Jew. Okay, that's what they're always doing, right? If you attack us, we gonna hammer you, blah blah blah, right? Why? This is Jeremiah, right? 50 and 23. How was the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Right now, right? These Americans, man, they are the hammer of the whole earth. Okay, and you can see how it is that they move across the world. The fact that they can make laws, and then no one else, and they are the only. Everyone else has to follow those laws, and they can just do whatever it wants. Whatever they want, proving that they are the hammer of the whole earth, right? Just going about doing what it is, right? Here it is. Apparently now Venezuela is the biggest issue, and then they're gonna, try and hammer, Venezuela, right? Just taking out shipping boats, right? Pirating oil vessels, and then defining laws to say no, it's not piracy. Okay, it goes on to say applause in endorsement of violence. And if this isn't the Edomite, the Edomites are the ones that do this, right? Wait, wasn't this an endorsement, man? Psalms 147, right, and 9. It's not 147. Whereas 137 and 9. Slug. Right. 137 and 7. Right. So remember, O Yahweh, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof. Right. Right, race R-A-S-E in the English, but Ara in Ira in the Hebrew. Right, it's a primitive root to be caused to bear, hence to empty, pour out, demolish. Right, so basically meaning to destroy it even to the foundation thereof. Right, that's what they were chanting. Right, that's what they were saying. Right, let's see what they actually said. I was wondering if it would have any more in there, right? But what does it say in return, right? It says, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Okay, so that's what you're going to get for doing that, because this is the difference between Israel and these other heathen nations, right? We're the loved, right? We're the apple of the Lord's eye. In fact, I ain't brought that one out in a very long time, right? This is Zechariah 2:8. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you, for he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. Okay, so that's it, man. Okay, so what are we gonna jump to? Oh yeah, we're just finishing this, right? So this is why this matter. Australia already has federal offences around urging violence and related national security speech offences. If the new offence is drafted as promoting rather than urging, inciting, it can become easier to argue borderline cases. Right, preachers and leaders is a definitional rabbit hole, right? The announcement frames it around preachers, but the text also says leaders, right? Depending on definition, leader could include religious clergy and informal religious teachers, political organizers, movement figureheads, online influencers, streamers, channel admins, right? Which is an important one, right? Event speakers, MCs, even guest lecturers, group chat, Telegram, Discord moderators. If leader is tied to influence rather than formal position, you can end up with prosecutorial discretion doing the real work, right? Serious vilification, avoid advocating racial supremacy, can collide with politics and identity debates. Right, one proposal is a new federal offence for serial blah blah. Right, hardline ethno-nationalism. Australia must be for X race only. Replacement theory, adjacent rhetoric. Oh, that's interesting, right? Because I believe that is. Which I'll look for it in my other screen real quick. Right, let me go AI mode. bring it here. Right, so it says replacement theory, also known as the Great Replacement Theory, is a far-right conspiracy theory alleging that a deliberate globalist-led effort is underway to replace white European American populations with non-white immigrants, right? You can read more of that beyond this. So that's, once again, E is going to be falling into that, okay? You're going to be, all of these laws, ultimately, yes, they're coming for us and coming for Jake as a whole, but E is going to be falling into this, okay? Racial generalization framed as, quote, data, crime, IQ tropes. Oh man, right? Some separatist identity movements could get argued as supremacy if the law isn't careful about distinguishing self-determination, solidarity from hierarchy and dominance, right? Academic or journalistic discussion, right? Hate as an aggravating factor, online threats can sprawl into motive disputes, etc., 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 right? So it says, yeah, visa cancellation, Vegas of all, so it is what it is. But it says the kinds of ordinary speech most at risk if drafting is sloppy, right? Protest slogans, right? Religious text sermons, quoting harsh passages versus endorsing them, teach doctrine versus promote violence, right? And that's it, right? So, you know, the precept when all of this comes to mind anyway, right? This is Amos 8 and 11, right? It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, that will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh, right? And that is very much the direction that we're going into. You know, Apostle Tar keeps speaking about, you know, speaking in code, right? The thing that we all need to be, you know, doing more is just sticking to the scriptures, right? Because that's how they'll get you, right? You know, when you're reading the scriptures, right? But then, you know, when we're, you know, going on, you know, tangents and side, you know, conversations or whatever have you, and not backing up with the scriptures, then what they're going to do is they're just going to clip, you know, sprawling statements, and then, you know, leave out the bit when the scriptures come out, which, you know, they're going to come against us anyway. But, you know, just something that we have to be, you know, very mindful of in these last days, right? But there is going to come a time when, you know, this truth ain't going to be out there like that. Right, so as always, you know, Lord, what I was edifying, I thought that was interesting, right? You know, just how he is making himself is making himself just the person that's always getting attacked, right? In this article, once again, it's like, you know, they mentioned, some one of those so-called Palestinian phrases, right? This one here, right? And it's just like, wait there, so them saying that statement is not okay, but these small hats dropping bombs on them and killing 50,000 is okay, right? Which is, once again, and these are things that people are starting more and more to call out, right? So as always, what I was edifying. Till next time, we say shalom.